Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre. Cuba, Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre.
Welcome back to. Have we signed some African player that you're just introducing there or something?
Welcome back to Irish United. West Ham
No.
won.
Before we go on,
West
you
Ham
need to
won.
explain what all
Man
that's
City
about.
won. West Ham won. Man City won. And welcome back to our West Ham review. It's our highlights and words, and we have got a draw against Man City at home. Before the game, Matt, would you have taken that draw, one each?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially against Man City with the record we've got. It's like the first time in like 4 or 5 years they haven't put 4 past us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since Bilic, isn't it?
Yeah, at home, should we say, up at London Stadium, they haven't put 4. They've put every game. Things seem to be moved in. They've scored at least 4 a game. So yeah, absolutely, 1-1. I'd have taken it, beating your hand off.
Well, let's have a look at the starting lineups again. You know, we're going to try our best to get through this review reasonably quick as we possibly can. Keep the comments coming in, of course. Did we expect much from the West Ham starting lineup? Still, did you expect anything really to change there?
No, I wasn't surprised. I know there was talk about, I know you mentioned maybe Diop coming in. People wanted Lanzini to start because of his firecracker last week. But no, and then of course Ben Rama, people were asking where he might fit in, didn't even make the bench today. I wasn't really surprised at the starting lineup. I was more interested in who would be on the bench.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how that plays such a big part nowadays when we're so worried about who sometimes normally in the starting lineup. Matt, the opposition there, we knew we had a threat in Sterling, Aguero. In actual fact, we knew we had a threat in the whole of the Man City side. But if we go into the game ever so slightly, how do you think we started the game in the first 10 minutes?
It was interesting. The first 10 minutes was like a game of 2 halves. I think Man City come flying out the blocks, as they always do. And they dominate the first 5 minutes without really creating anything. And then we done the same for the second 5 minutes. We dominated, didn't really create each other out, see how they were going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, listen, still, I felt like what Matt said. I felt that that they were gaining a bit of possession. We were struggling a little bit in the first 10 minutes, but then we kind of picked up a little bit of pace, and then the ball comes out to the wing to Sofao. And I mean, explain what happened then.
Well, people are saying it was handball, but I didn't see much wrong with that. I think last season, we suffered a bit because of these so-called handballs or inadvertent handballs, and we had goals taken away from us. So I'm quite glad that Souček didn't get stopped for a supposed handball, but he laid it back to. He won the ball. He laid it back to his partner in crime, international partner in crime, Sofao, and then, well, what a goal! I mean, I didn't think Antonio had it in his locker, to be honest with you. I really didn't. It brilliantly taken. But if he hadn't scored, look how close that defender was. If he hadn't scored, would we have got a penalty? Because for me, that should have been a penalty if we hadn't scored. I don't know what you guys think.
Nah, we wouldn't have got one.
We wouldn't have done, would we? But
No,
it probably should have been. Look how tight he was on him. But what an overhead kick!
We've got a striker here, or a player that that wasn't brought in to be an out-and-out striker for West Ham. That's just week in and week out. We consistently we can't discredit him at all. I mean, he is keeping out Sebastian Haller, who we'll come on to in a minute, out of this side, and that's a goal that any striker on his day would love to score. You mentioned it there. The defender was in tight against Antonio. He was using his strong, bullish, stature to keep the player off of him. And he has the ability, the strength and the agility to curve his body in that manner and attempt a bicycle kick against a top-notch. Doesn't matter if they're missing one of their best centre-halves, a top-notch back line of Man City.
Like I said, I didn't know Antonio had that in him. I didn't. Yeah. I didn't know he had it in him. And to actually get that chance and to put it away so effectively was just sweet. It was. It was fantastic, and it was a bit against the run of play. You just mentioned, the first 10 minutes or so, it was kind of more. It was more City attacking. I think that was our first break. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that our first attack?
It actually was, yeah,
more or less.
Pretty much, yeah, more or less.
And just a fantastic start. That calmed us down. I think. I think that sort of gave us that ability to sort of get ourselves. Because I think we'll get to the second half, but I think what we saw in the second half at the beginning was we were a little bit nervous. And I think it's not that we were nervous in the first 10 minutes, but we kind of weren't really in the game. So that gave us the edge in a way, which was good.
We were definitely nullifying, in the first half in particular, Matt, I felt like we nullified the final third for Man City because we were then pushing them back to shooting from distance. And, they don't like that style of football. They did get a chance to press West Ham from the back, build up slow play, look for that penetrating pass, but they couldn't really get through the midfield. Describe Man City's first half performance and how West Ham defended against that.
It was how I expected, and it went exactly how I was expected because they were missing the players to make the difference. Man City play out from the back, they play left to right, they keep possession. It's slow, methodical probing, drag you left to right to get you out of position to make the gaps in, to thread the ball through at score. Except they had both Foden and De Bruyne were on the bench, so they had no one to actually play the ball they needed.
Yeah.
So they kept playing balls in. They were going into feet. They were getting tackled. They were losing it. They were trying to cross. I
and they really
sums up from the corners they had that they rarely chucked it straight in because they weren't winning the headers.
Yeah, and they did really struggle down. Man City struggled down their left-hand side, which for Bowen was giving him a huge amount of confidence. That West Ham were trying balls over the top. Bowen was getting first to the ball, penetrating passes through. Bowen was getting first to the ball. Sofao was getting first to the ball. There was definitely an area of weakness there in the Man City defence. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they say they had a right back playing left back, and it sort of showed that it wasn't solid there. I mean, Sterling was out there, but he likes drifting in. So there's a lot of times that first half they were quite wide open on their left-hand side.
Yeah.
And it's really suited Bowen and Sufal.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, I mean, summing up the first half for West Ham, what was your kind of thoughts in the first half in particular? We went into the first half with the whistle getting blown 1-0 up.
Yeah, I think for me, first half, after the I don't want to call it a shaky start, but after the start and then getting the goal, I think I don't think we saw anything that really worried us too much. City had an awful lot of the ball, but we expected that anyway. But I think the stats were quite close, weren't they? I think City had 61% or something like that in the first half. So it wasn't that domineering. And I think we probably gave them as much cause for concern as they did us. Yeah. So I think for me, the first half was kind of roughly even, maybe City edging it, but of course the edge is how many goals you've scored. So I think we were okay in that. We look comfortable going into the second half.
Yeah, of course. How did you rate? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move into the second half. West Ham didn't make any substitutions straight away, but I think Matt, you said Man City made a substitution coming into the second half.
Yeah, and Aguero went off at half time for Foden.
Yeah,
and I thought it was a strange one when they done it at half time. I thought it was a bit. I mean, Aguero had been quiet, but Aguero's lethal when he comes on. Apparently, it's come out now that Aguero's picked up an injury again, which could be bad for Man City because Jesus is also out injured.
Yeah,
so Sterling's probably got to pick up the mantle for them. But
he did
they're two entirely different players, and it did suit them better to have Foden coming on, to be honest.
And when he did come on, he certainly did make an impact for Man City. Describe the goal for Man City.
It played out from the wing, wasn't it? Whipped in, he sort of controlled it with his back to goal. He was given one of the very few times we gave him far too much space in the box.
Yeah,
I think every other opportunity in the game when they got in the box, there was at least one, if not two, three players around them that stop a shot.
Yeah,
he came in, he picked it up with his back to goal turn, and he drilled it left-footed into the near post. It's a well-taken goal, to be fair.
Yeah,
but it's just one opportunity we didn't get anyone close enough to close them down in the box.
Yep. Absolutely. Still, after the goal, though, you kind of felt like maybe there was going to be an onslaught straight away from Man City, but that never came instantly because there was a decent game of football for a neutral fan watching it. Listen, let's get onto our midfield a little bit. And let's get onto Masuaku. We had a kind of I'm bringing him up because it was quite an interesting game for him. I got your point on the fact that he held the ball a couple of times too much and he nearly gave the ball away. Really, really in a bad position, as did Yarmolenko near the end of the game. All in all, though, what do you think the impact he's having on the side and in particular today?
Masuaku, today's game, he showed his best and his worst in one game.
Yeah,
because there were moments of greatness. Well, moments of decent play. And you could see why he's in the team. You could see why Moyes likes him, puts him out on that left side, etc. And then there are moments when you go, what are you doing? And there were a couple of occasions where what Masuaku, the reason why I'm always on Masuaku's back is because there are times when he just doesn't seem to know to do the right thing for as a professional footballer. Now, all professional footballers, of course, sometimes they make mistakes, etc. But it seems that what Masuaku sometimes does is he holds on to the ball a bit too long. He kind of makes the wrong decisions. There was the first time he did it in the second half. He just about got away with it when he stuck his foot out and he managed to get the ball to one of our players. And then the second time he did it, he gave the ball away in a dangerous position. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me with him because he has got skill. He is a skillful player, but he sometimes just doesn't make the right choices for me. And it was a game where, people are saying, people see it differently. I think he had good parts of the game. I think there are other bits of his game that were like, what are you doing? But anyway, it weren't. I think as part of the team, the setup, it suits Masuaku. Absolutely does. It suits him to be down on that left side. And on the whole, so far this season, I think he's done well. But there are games like this one when you go. Sometimes you just think you're going to get us in trouble. It's almost like an arrogance of I'll hold on to it a bit too long, and he that bit in the middle where he got the ball caught in his feet, and people will say that was skillful. You look at that again, and he was lucky that the ball rebounded off his own feet in the way that it did in order for him to keep possession. But there you go. Can't hear you.
No, I can't hear him either.
I've muted my mic. That's why. I feel like we'll move on from Masuaku in a minute, King Arthur. But I think he's, like you said, still he's definitely shown us his really, really positive sides, and then a couple of little negatives today. But all in all, I thought he was probably one of our standout players, if I'm being honest, because I think he was so effective in his defensive play today, apart from the chances for giving away the ball. But then moving into the game, we saw Antonio come off. We don't know if he's coming off as a precautionary.
We're still waiting on confirmation, unfortunately.
Still waiting on confirmation from the Antonio substitution, but who came on for him, surprisingly to all West Ham fans, was Yarmolenko. Matt, how did you rate Yarmolenko's performance today?
I don't know. I don't think it was one of his best performances, was it?
Well, let me quickly remind everyone it was an early substitution as well.
It was an enforced substitution, mate.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. But anyway.
But yeah, it wasn't. I don't know, because he sort of played three different positions, didn't he? He started out on the middle. I think he went left, then he went right for a bit, then he went back to the left. And he never really got going. There was glimpses of bits where you thought he might do well, and then he played that ball for 4 hours, but then also he put Sterling in for a 1-on-1. I'd argue that Masuaku had a much better game than Yarmolenko, and Yarmolenko made mistakes that were a lot worse, but we never really highlight attacking players' defensive mistakes. I don't think it was Yarmolenko's best game. I'll be perfectly honest. And
also on that, I mean, moving into the maybe the last 20 minutes as such, it was a bit crazy, really, the last 20 minutes still, wasn't it? It was like up in the air. West Ham had opportunity and Man City had opportunities. I think Yarmolenko gave away the ball. I mean, he was in his own half, and he couldn't find the player to give the ball to. He tried to feed the ball back to Fabianski, but he hit it half-hearted.
Awful back pass, awful.
Yeah.
And Pete, it's kind of summed it up. It was a defo brown trouser last 15 minutes.
But I tell you what, though, up stepped Fabianski. He had never had a lot to do.
Brilliant.
In the first half, but he certainly stepped up to the occasion in the second half.
People are saying Fabianski's finished, and yet he gave us that. I think we knew that as the game was going to go on, and as it was continuing to be 1-1, we knew City were going to start pushing further and further and further, trying to get the winner. And but we kept it solid. I think, ironically, we kind of helped them along, because we did give the ball away a couple of times, like the Yarmolenko pass, or like Masuaku, the Yarmolenko awful back pass, and the Masuaku sort of like missed passes, etc. We almost they didn't need encouragement, did they? But we kind of made it difficult for ourselves. But having said that, look at the defending. People were questioning about Balbuena. He's come back to some of his best form, I think. He's playing really well alongside Ogbonna. Sofal has been great. Our defending has been great, and with having Rice and Souček just in front of the defence, really, really helps. And it was backs against the wall, though, wasn't it? It was the last 15 minutes or so was like, you just kept thinking, oh God, any minute now they're going to break free and they're going to nick that winner. No, I don't think they deserved it, but we were resilient, and that's a resilience that we haven't had at West Ham for many a year.
Just very quickly, some information coming out. Apparently, Moyes has confirmed that hamstring problems with Antonio. So I think, as we probably suspected, and it might mean that we might have to miss him. I don't think he's going to be fit for the next game. So we're definitely going to have to start seeing some changes. But we'll keep those changes under wraps and talk about them for the next preview, which is going to be such a shame, because he's such an informed player and so important to West Ham's attack really now, isn't it? How important he's become. But just to let you know. But one other player I want to discuss with you is, I've not had a chance to like this image, is Pablo Fornals. As you can see him here lying on the ground for the Kevin De Bruyne free kick. But after the substitution was made, the next substitution that was made for West Ham was Bowen came off, which surprised me, and brought Haller on. Was that a fair substitution, Matt? We'll talk about Fornals in a minute.
I think we all thought Haller would come on the first time, to be honest, when Yarmolenko came on. I was surprised it was Bowen. I mean, I didn't think Fornals did anything wrong. I just think that the way we were playing suited Fornals. Maybe he just didn't want Bowen playing on the left wing. Maybe first Bowen cutting on the side, but I thought it would have suited maybe more Fornals coming off. But hey, Fornals, you know what you're going to get from him. And maybe that's what Moyes knew, that you'll still get the 90 minutes hunger, attacking, tracking back. Maybe he thought Bowen had run more. Maybe he didn't think Bowen would last 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It's one of them ones for Moyes to try and dive into his mind and see how he sees things work.
Still, I think when Bowen came off, I think we lost that threat down the wing where he was so effective. He was causing them problems pretty much in the most of the first half. And, it kind of a couple of times throughout that game, because Haller hadn't come on at that point, it was leaving Yarmolenko, Fornals, and who was the other? Bowen. To kind of, they were shifting positions. At one point, Fornals was up front.
Yeah, I think that the first substitution kind of confused the shape that we had, because I think we were all expecting Haller to come on for Antonio, a direct like-for-like replacement. Yeah. And when that didn't happen, we were kind of looking at each other going, well, okay, who's playing where? And we thought, I think Yarmolenko went up front, and then he immediately switched with Bowen. Bowen went up front. And there was that, I don't know how long it was between the two substitutions, 5-10 minutes or whatever. But I think all of a sudden it was a bit confusing for the team. Like, I don't think anyone really knew who should be playing where. That's how it felt. And I think that 10 minutes could have been a bit damaging to us. And by bringing Haller on, it kind of balanced it out again. You know, Allaire, we knew, was going to go up front. Yarmolenko then would move out to the right, Fornals out to the left, etc. It kind of brought the balance back. And but I think for that time, between the two substitutions, when Yarmolenko came on and when Allaire came on, it was a bit of a confusing sort of time. We didn't know what was going on there. But I don't think Bone should have come off, to be honest with you. I think that was kind of a mistake.
Matt, you mentioned in the game, you know, the work rate about Fornals. I mean, again, I have to bring this image up. It's hilarious. But, you know, talk to me about the work rate of Fornals and really why he's winning his position in the side.
It's the miles that he covers. You know, he does cover. He is up and down all game non-stop. I mean, you talk about the ground that Souček covers, but I think Fornals covers equally as much ground as Souček does. You know, I think that's why Moyes liked him, because he will continually get up alongside and track back and then get up and down, you know, like Yarmolenko on the other side could do it for 40, 35 minutes, whatever it was, but he wouldn't do it for a whole game. Yeah. There's not many people that can get up and down that pitch and crank out the kilometres or miles that they cover, but Souček does it and Fornals does it, and that's why Moyes likes him. Because he may not be the best in that left wing position, but he'll get back, he'll support the fullback, and then he'll still break his neck to get forward again. And he does sort of have the vision to track players. So,
and what about that chance that he had? You know, West Ham found ourselves on the counter attack, and it was Fornals 1-on-1 with the keeper. He was about 20 yards out. He looked up. Ederson had jumped out into the 18-yard line from the goalkeeper. Fornals just looked up and he thought, I need to just chip him. That's all I need to do. He just placed the ball right into the keeper's hands. But what an opportunity, really! What an opportunity for West Ham to try and go ahead.
Someone said in the chat that he kind of misses a lot of chances, and when you think about it, he kind of does. Yeah. He scored a couple of vital goals for us, and he's made a number of decent assists, but he actually does miss quite a few chances. And
he missed one Leicester, didn't he?
Yeah,
on the rebound. He missed the header against Tottenham, the one today. Yeah.
Well, that header against Tottenham, that did come a bit too fast to him, but I think other players might have just got that.
Would you say that's a hard-fought draw, or you know, where would you put this performance today?
Because we went 1-0 ahead, people might be disappointed that we didn't win, but we always knew that City were going to come at us. So I think it was hard fought. I think it was a well-deserved, even though we went ahead. I think it was a well-deserved draw, because you look at the last 15, 20 minutes, they really did start coming at us. And we were biting our nails, weren't we? We thought, you know, that we weren't going to hold on. So I'd say it was a hard-fought draw, a deserved hard-fought draw.
Where are you at with it, Matt?
Well, I say if that was us last season, we'd have crumbled and lost.
Yeah.
The mentality we seem to have now, we do, like, you know, Rice said it after the game, didn't he? That the bare minimum all the players expect of each other is that they run themselves into the ground, and that's exactly what we did at the end of it. And they dragged themselves through the 90 minutes to get the draw.
Yeah,
Man City,
and there you go.
Points dropped, whereas for us,
it's point game.
I said before the game, you know, we can't lose. This was a no-lose situation. We got anything from the game as a bonus.
And Neil's comment there is perfect. A few months ago, we would have lost that. We're looking more resilient now, and he's absolutely right.
Yep, absolutely. Let's look at some of the stats for the game. Man City had 70% possession to West Ham's 30%. Man City had 14 shots to West Ham's 6. They had
say that percentage stat again. Is that the overall game?
Yeah, for the overall game, Man City
70 to 30.
Well, I'm really surprised, because it was a lot more closer than that. Mind you, they did come out.
Oh, they did. You know, they kept a hold of the ball. You've just got to look at the amount of passes that they had. They had 737 passes to West Ham's 315. So they nearly more than double had. You know, they played the ball a lot along the back, and that's what West Ham forced them to do still. So, their pass succession rate was 89% to West Ham 69%. They had 14 shots, we had 6. They had 7 on target, we had 2. I mean, fair play to West Ham. That was a professional performance, and we've come up against Wolves, Leicester, Tottenham, and Man City, and walked out with 8 points. Now
we're going to
in Liverpool comparison to last year, we got none.
Yeah, exactly.
4 games.
And I really am confident that we're going to beat Liverpool next week.
Talk to me about this man.
Messiah Moyes. The Messiah. The
Mr.
second
David
coming.
Moyes.
The second coming of Moyes.
Yep.
You know what? Let's not knock him. You know, as much as none of us, well, I don't think any of us really wanted him as a manager. The second time round, we all kind of like, you know, even I kept going on about we should get this manager in and that manager in, etc., etc. But you know what? Hats off to him. There was an Everton fan that was on early start on the watch along, and he said he doesn't like Moyes, but you can't knock him for his tactics. You know, and he turned Everton into a decent team. And if that's what he does for West Ham, then I'm all for it.
Yep.
You know, but there's a comment here, lads, because that sort of ties in a bit. We're becoming solid, but the football ain't the best. I actually don't agree with that. I think we play some nice football sometimes.
We don't dominate the ball. We're not a possession-based team, but the attacking play that we do play is good. Like
We're just being really, you know, Moyes is bringing a tactical game to West Ham, and he's studying the opposition. And fair play to Moyes, you can actually see that he looks at each opposition and goes into each game and thinking, how should we set up like this? You know, press the team and force them not to get through in the final third. We've come up against 4 teams that like to get through in the final third, and he's absolutely nullified them. Well, not nullified Tottenham in the first half of last week, but you know, and
look, we gave Spurs a head start.
Yeah,
and they messed it up again. So it's their problem, isn't it? Not ours.
Listen, we know there's loads of comments in the chat. We'd normally try and get through them, but if we do it, we'd never have a life. And we know that we'll quickly jump through some. But before we jump through some, hold on. West Ham started off today ahead of Man City in the league and end up today ahead of Man City in the league. West Ham sit 10th on 8 points, as do Man City, but we've got a better goal difference by 4 goals. Again, who would have thought that? So well done to West Ham. Before we do go into the comments, though, Matt, who was your West Ham man of the match?
Oof, it's a hard one today, you know, because it'll be one of the more defensive players, because I think we didn't offer as much going forward. But you know, I might give it to Masuaku, to be fair.
I think I've got to agree with you, Matt. To be honest, mate, I think is one. You know, I do agree with you 9 times out of 10. Well, not a lot, actually, to be honest. Anyway, but today you've got to give credit where credit's due. Yes, he gave away one really bad ball, but I think most of his decision making was good today, and his tracking back was so vital to West Ham today. So yeah, I'm Masuaku as well. Still, no pressure.
Balbuena.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game as well.
I thought Balbuena had a really, really decent game. You know, and given the attack lineup that Man City have got, I think Balbuena did excellent today. Yeah. Really excellent.
Absolutely. You know? We're getting loads of comments in here. People saying Masuaku, people saying Sofal. Masuaku again. Someone said man of the match. Sofal there. Declan Rice. Thought Declan Rice had a good game. So yeah, there is a lot of comments. We could be here.
Let me jump through one or two, because this is a talk. It's going to be a talking point. Antonio is out. Allaire needs to step up. I think he'll struggle against Liverpool, but will be okay against Fulham. Thoughts on he's been not a lot of people are up for Allaire. Thoughts?
If Haller plays and Bowen plays, that can change things. But the fact that Bowen came off today and he didn't really have a lot of support up top, I understand that we looked a little bit more static up top. But Haller has been brought in for one reason only, to score goals and get the service, and he needs the service. If he doesn't get the service, he's not going to do what Antonio does. And that doesn't mean we should slag off Haller because of that. Yeah, that's just where I'm at.
So Moyes has said it's either cramp or slight strain, but as soon as Antonio felt, he signalled to Moyes, and given his history, I think that was
sensible.
The right thing to do.
Yeah, sensible.
Yeah.
You know, it probably means he's out a couple of weeks rather than a couple of months.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen, haven't we? We've seen him go,
he's tried to come back on. We said it before.
Guys, I need to head. Can I leave you? Continue this to end.
We'll finish off the last few comments and then we'll go. Allaire didn't really do much when he came on. Maybe he needs a longer run. This is what I've been saying. Thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, well, like you said, if he'd have started in the team that started instead of Antonio, you'd have seen more out of him.
Yeah,
because Bowen really does. Bowen and Fornals really do both when they're going forward, breaking neck to get up alongside Antonio. Whereas, Antonio went, Yarmolenko came on, and then he brought on Haller for Bowen, and it was like, Yarmolenko doesn't have the ability to do. He will get up and down the pitch, but he's not going to be like Fornals was doing on the left, where he's trying to break a neck to catch up. And, Bowen the same. Bowen will go up and down that pitch all day, whereas Yarmolenko will do it, but not as quick, so he won't get alongside him. I think if Haller starts against Liverpool and you've got Bowen and Fornals, I think you'll see a different game.
I think so. I think if you give Haller the service that he needs, I think, and starting from the start, I agree. I think you'll see a different player. But everyone, it's good that everyone's got different opinions. So. Gary, in my mind, Fab is brilliant. I think he's often an unsung hero. He makes mistakes, sure he does, but he gives his all. I think he went through a slightly bad patch last season after he came back from injury, Fabianski. I don't think
it took him a while to get going, didn't it?
Yeah, it took a while for him to get going. So, but I agree, Gary. I think he, look at him today. 2 decent saves that kept
near
us
the
in.
end. Well, that one right at the end, the very, very end. He pushed Mahrez, he shot onto the post, didn't he? And that was almost the last kick of the game.
Exactly, and that was Schizo, good of you. Join us again, mate. City push for a winner is the strategy. We're playing well at the moment, but only if the counter attack is pacey and incisive. Yeah, and we did lose that a little bit, didn't we? With when
Bowen and Antonio both going off.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry, people, we are jumping because just like Anton, we've also got a life to live. Infinite. Fornal's attitude reminds me of Di Canio. He really loves playing for us.
Oh, mate, I don't know if you've ever seen that the Twitter account, West Ham Clips.
No, I'm not on Twitter.
He does the alternative commentary stuff.
Right.
He did put a video out, and it just showed you like every time West Ham scored, and how much Fornals was celebrating, and he literally loves it. Like his expression every time we score, whether he scored or not, he just goes absolutely mental. He loves it. He got a big smile on his face.
Brilliant. Ian, Bowen keeps his eye on the offside trap. When the yak came on, he was offside more than one occasion. Yeah, is that Yak Yarmolenko? He didn't have a great game, did he? Melios, good Greek name. Stelios, I think it was a professional draw from the team today. They try so hard. They have the spirit. That it was something we did not have last season. I like Sofal, clever player. Agreed with that.
100% agree with that comment. Yeah. And that is the best way to sum up. It was a professional draw.
It was a professional draw. Lee,
yeah.
Just goes to show we can hold our own against the big clubs. Love West Ham. I mean, it does actually, doesn't it?
We always know this. I said this to my dad, and I wish I'd recorded it before, like after the Newcastle game. And my dad was all depressed and gloom, and he was like, "Oh, we're going to be bottom in November with no points." And it would not surprise me if we've got 8 or 9 points after the next 6 games. And he looked at me and he was like, "No, you need to get yourself checked out." He's like, "You're mental." And here we are. We've got Liverpool left to play. We've already got the 8 points. So
exactly. LF1, Benrahma doesn't really get into this side at the moment. No, he'll be on the bench. But as we've been saying, it's going to be really interesting to see who is on the bench when Benrahma is back and everything.
But if he doesn't fancy Haller, could he start up front against Liverpool?
Good call. That really is a good call. Jim, see you later, guys. Great show. Still, yes, I'm on tomorrow. What else we got? Benrahma will do excellent to come on halfway through a second half for Fornals. Yeah, good shout as well. The counter-attack transition is actually pretty attractive to watch. I think it's quite exciting to watch.
Yeah.
I think it is. We're just going to go through just the last few comments. LF1, I agree. Benrahma does need time to acclimatise to the Premier League. He may not be Moyes' first choice. However, he's a match winner. Would you be a starter? Who would be a starter going forward? Unlike King. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Are you looking forward to seeing Benrahma playing a West Ham team?
I think he'll be excited. I said he'll start. He could start next week. He won't start him. I think from the way he commented today, said he just wants to get him up to speed with the Premier League. But apparently, if you believe the ITKs, all the players have already been blown away with him in training. I think Kufal made a comment that he's a guy that takes on 3-4 players. So, hey, maybe it's going to be exciting when he gets in.
He might start up front next week. Schizo, Allaire needs the faster players on the pitch with him. Also, if he's been given more substitute minutes each game, I'm sure he'd be happier. Well, yeah. Debenham, Dave. Allaire, clearly a good player, but not sure he will fit our system. Does he fit our system? Yeah. Long Dark.
I say with them faster players on the pitch, yeah.
But that's why he needs someone like Bowen. And I mean, he could have had Bowen and Benrahma up front with him.
Yeah. Yeah, them two, or Antonio, or even Fornals with the attacking fullbacks. But also, it wasn't a game built for him because, again, like I said, when we got the not top 6 teams, I'm sure you're going to see a lot more attacking crosses and runs from Masuaku and Kufal.
Yeah.
Sufal, shall I say.
Yeah.
Then if you've got Haller in the box for them crosses, he'll be burying headers left, right and centre.
Bread and butter for him. Fabianski is getting old and slowing down. We will need to replace him soon. Well, interesting, Long Dart, because...
I think it's his last year.
Well, I think it might be him and a few other players because we've got quite a few players in the last year of their contracts. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from there on in. Right, and the last comment before we go, Bananarama is a player we look forward to. It ain't what you do, it's the way that he's going to do it. There you go, there's the link for Bananarama. Right, any last comments, mate? It's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Solid, was it professional performance?
Yeah.
Attacked when needed to, sat back, defensive. There's unity in the team, which we don't always see.
Yeah.
The team's happy, teams playing for each other. Another point. 4 games unbeaten.
And onwards to Liverpool. We're going to smash them next week. Right. Thank you all very much for watching. Show's coming up. I'm doing my show tomorrow. There's going to be a midweek show that we're going to come up with. I'm going to force Anton to do something midweek. We're trying to get Alf back. He's been very, very busy, unfortunately, but we're trying to get him to come back and do the oi-ois and the grumbles. More oi-oi than grumble these days, which is good. And then when we got Liverpool, next Saturday again, is it? Do we know?
Top of my head, I'm actually... Give me a second. I will look it up and let you know. We've got Liverpool Saturday, 5:30.
5:30. Therefore, we will be doing a preview on Friday. And of course, join us for the watch along next Saturday. What better way to spend your Saturday evening watching us babbling on about crap and not knowing what we're talking about because we rarely follow the game. Or when we do follow the game, we forget commenting on it. But there you go. Just join us anyway. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your comments. Cheers, Matt. We chat.